Hi there, and welcome to this lesson. Now, in this lesson, we're doing basic arithmetic, okay? And under basic arithmetic, we'll be learning about ratios. And at this point, I'd remind you to set the video to play in 1080p HD. Very important that you do so, okay? So you can see everything clearly, and you can do so via the settings icon on the bottom right. And as the lesson progresses, if you have any issues at all, anything comes off as unclear, please feel free to get in touch. You can do so via the course dashboard. Okay, so let's jump right into the lesson. Okay, ratios. Now, ratios. What are ratios? What are ratios exactly? Now, ratios are used in comparing quantities. Okay, for example, I could give you 70 kilos of a bag of rice, and I can tell you to compare this to a 100 kilo bag of wheat. I can tell you what is the ratio of rice to wheat that you have basically, and you usually end up with 7:10. We basically use ratios to compare quantities, and very often these quantities represent two or more parts of a whole. Okay, and this part will become relevant when we start talking about sharing with ratios. And I think we'll just go ahead and do that. So let's say we have a pie here. Okay, very weird looking, odd looking pie, but yes, it is a pie. And just like we did in fractions, we're going to share this pie. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this pie into four. I'm going to take one out of the four. Okay, so I've split the pie into four and I've taken one out of the four, so I have one pie, and what I'm left with, one out of the four, and what I'm left with is three sections out of the four. And if I ask you to find the ratio of the cutout section to the section that's left, you would tell me that the ratio is 1:3, because the section that's left is 3 times bigger than the one that's been cut out. And that's the idea. That's the idea of ratios. Basically, we have two quantities and we want to compare them. And basically, one quantity, we have this part as 1, and the other one is 3 times the size of the first one. Okay, and we have 1:3. Something we need to, basically, we cut these two quantities out of a whole. Okay, and something we need to note is that the whole, or the sum of the ratios, basically we have 1:3. When we add this up, we get 4. The sum of the ratios usually represents the whole. Okay, very important. Now, what if you were asked to share 20 beans between box A and box B in the ratio 2:3? Okay, so we just shared a pie, and let's do the same with some beans. Okay, but now we have 20 beans and we have 20 beans, and we have box A and box B, and we've been asked to share these in the ratio 2:3. And what that simply means is that for every 2 beans you put in box A, you put 3 in box B. Let's go ahead and do that. So we take out 2 beans, I'll put them in box A, okay, and then we take out 3 beans, I'll put them in box B. It's that simple, okay, and we'll keep doing that. Okay, so we take out 2, put in box A. For every time we take out 2 for box A, we take out 3 for box B. Okay, do the same. 2 in box A, 3 in box B, 2 here, and finally 3 in box B. Now, if you count the number of beans you have in box A, you'd find that you have 8 beans in box A, and if you do the same for box B, you'd find that you have 12. And we've basically shared box A, we've basically shared the beans between box A and B in the ratio 2:3. And if you count all the beans together, you would still have 20 beans. But what you notice is that for every 2 we gave box A, we gave box B 3. So that is one way of sharing with ratios. Okay, and if I gave you 512 beans and I asked you to share in the ratio 2:3, um it would take you a while to actually count the beans like we just did. So I'm going to show you a far simpler method to get this done. Okay, and the sum of ratios represents the whole. Something you need to remember. Okay, far simpler method to get this done, and the first thing we need to remember is that the sum of the ratios represent the whole. So you've been asked to share 20 beans in the ratio 2:3. Okay, now I'm going to add those ratios together, and I have 2 plus 3, and what I have is 5. So 5 represents the total number of beans. Okay, so you just look at it as you have 20 beans to share, and 5 in ratio form represents this 20 beans. Okay, and basically you've been told that out of 5 box A gets 2. Okay, so for box A we have 2 out of 5. Okay, for every 5 box A gets 2, and we have 20 beans in all. And what we need to do here is we simply go 2 over 5 multiplied by 20. Okay, because for every 2 out of 5 for box A gets 2 out of every 5. Okay, so we go 2 over 5, 2 out of 5 multiplied by 20, and where you arrive is your answer 8. Okay, and then we do the same for box B, and we have that box B is 3 out of 5, and you have 3 out of 5 multiplied by 20, and you get your answer 12. And it's actually that simple. That's how we share using ratios. Now let's go ahead and do an example. Okay, just one example, and the example, we have share $450 between John, Jane, and Charlie in the ratio 2:3 to 4 respectively. Okay, the word respectively at the end there means we have the ratios following the same order as the names. So we have John as 2, Jane as 3, and Charlie as 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing we need to do here is we need to take the sum. Okay, find the whole ratio, and basically we just do 2 plus 3 plus 4, and that gives us 9. Okay, so basically what we can deduce from that is that John will get 2 out of every 9. Out of every $9, John will get $2. Jane will get $3 out of every $9, and Charlie will get $4 out of every $9. Okay, and now we can go ahead and solve for John. Okay, so John gets 2 out of every 9, so we have 2 over 9 multiplied by 450, and when you work that out you would end up with $100. So John gets $100. Now what about Jane? Let's do for Jane. Now Jane gets 3 out of every 9, so we have 3 divided by 9 multiplied by 450, and when you work that out you would end up with $150. And finally Charlie gets 4 out of every 9, and when you multiply that by 450 the whole, you have $200. And that is how you share quantities using ratio. And which will bring us to the end of this lesson. It's actually very simple. There really isn't much to it. It's just a very short, straightforward principle. One thing you need to remember is that the sum of the ratios represent the whole. Okay, so when you have that the sum of the ratios represent the whole, you add them together, and then you take each ratio over the sum of the ratios and multiply it by the quantity you've been asked to share. And that will bring us to the end of this lesson. Bye for now.